We've made a slight amendment to the alignment of the what's it called, the indicative collector route through that block of land. That's to actually reflect the alignment which is sitting there on the ground at present. So what that's meant is that the road has moved further to the west. So it's moved much closer to the edge of the large gully which runs through that area.
And hence what that's perhaps showing is that it is now almost on the boundary of that gully, and probably realistically forms a natural edge to that industrial environment now, because remember the discussion on the interface issues?
Yeah, we had a big discussion on that.
And that may well help those interface issues now, but when we had a look out there and had a look at the aerial, there's almost impossible to squeeze sections out of that side of it. Except for when you get down to State Highway 5 and it comes back around and then it leaves some reasonable land between Stag Park. And so it may be that that road's helped us in some of those interface issues that we might deal with later.
Yeah, just a little point. Page 111 of the original draft, or the final draft, I should say. I wonder if it would be helpful to include this map slightly amended, which shows all the industrial zoned areas. It's very hard if you don't know where these locations are to put them in context into the wider urban area.
So yes, so to put it,
Mr. Chairman, it's that one there. It's that one there. I just think it'll be helpful to the reader, because that shows the very significant amount of land that is proposed to be zoned. And that is very helpful, I think, to the perhaps future investor to see it in context around that wider urban area.
That's the full map of
the
whole structure plan.
See, the reason we didn't use that map was that was an original study area, a map of which these areas are much smaller. Okay, but what we could do is take the concept of that map as a key map and put it at the beginning.
Thank you.
Amendments.
Well,
Councillor Vagan?
yeah, because we've actually got on page 81 of the new one a sort of a topographical, a slightly clearer map just with the numbers in it.
Again, that's showing the whole of the study areas, including the fact that we did have a look over on the Rangatira land, and Area 2 was much larger. That's right. So it's a matter of now just finding a key map and amending it to reflect just the proposed zoned areas.
Good.
I wonder, could we go to the background maps now in the appendix on the, because they are
81.
81, that's where it starts. And this helps, but it doesn't, it's not clear, it's not as clear if you had one separate for all those amended proposed industrial zones. Can I suggest that map on page 81, you've got nothing in the key to tell you about the numbers and relate them to the following numbers, the following pages. So the key should read industrial commercial structure plan areas, and then some definition under that as to what the numbers are and where to find out more detailed information.
All right, moving on.
And then, Mr. Chairman, if we could go over to page 83, I think this is the right one. And I just want to ask a question along the lines that I posed before. Because that additional proposed industrial zone at the top there on Arataki Road was not proposed in the the final draft, were the consultants asked to consider whether or not that land was sensitive? Because if you now turn to the front page of your document, which is very helpful, we didn't have this lovely photograph before, and then you compare it back to the sensitive areas on page 83, I think you will see that right along that ridge, that backdrop to the northern end of the urban area, there are areas of equal sensitivity. So my question is, were the consultants asked to consider that area on Arataki Road as to its sensitivity? Because they've come up with known contaminated site. Oh, hang on, sorry, slope 21 degrees. I apologise, slope 21 degrees. Can you remember whether they were asked to consider the sensitivity?
I believe that Boffa-Miskell, who did the landscape assessment, did not specifically look at the solid energy sites as part of their assessment of landscape sensitivity. What's happened here in terms of this map on page 83 and the black lines, the heavy black lines around solid energy site, is that our GIS team, when they were updating the red and the yellow maps, which show the land use, obviously identified the new yellow areas for solid energy, and the layer which they've used in the GIS system has carried through onto the constraint maps, which they updated. So we'll have to get that black line removed off the map on page 83. But my understanding is that Boffa-Miskell did not do a landscape assessment of those sites.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We cannot relitigate that. The decision has been taken. I just wish it to be minuted that this is drawn to the attention of those planners who are processing that, and so that the matter has, so that you know that the matter has not been dealt with equitably in terms of landscape sensitivity, and that is perhaps raised at that district plan process change time. Thank you.
Come back to map 23. That's the one that Councillor Bernard spoke about. Any comment on that?
Can I just raise a question there, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
What were you referring to south of the airport, Councillor Kosowski?
Oh, well, if you look on this map here, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
this is the one here.
Well, we're not zoning that industrial.
That is.
It's already industrial.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm asking what Councillor
I don't know. Can you answer what the mayor's...
Well,
I
basically,
mean, I'm on the airport committee with you. I know nothing about this.
There was one photo didn't show it all, though. Is that what you're referring to?
yeah, but the way it was worded, it wasn't quite clear as to where all the industrial proposed land is going to be.
North of the airport.
Yeah.
Well, it
Not
isn't
south.
just north of the airport when you look at the
West.
picture.
It's west.
Nothing south.
Or what? West, what? Wherever the yellow bit is.
I think we've agreed, though, that we might leave just to the north and in brackets see Area 3, Land Use Map Area 3, because it is land to the north. It's just that you were concerned that it wasn't clarified as to how far north it might go.
It goes up to the ETA, and as I say, if you look...
Only goes up to the
Yeah.
ETA. That's the same when we describe any of the maps in a way.
All right. Page 24. Page 25. Councillor Hogan.
Yeah, I noticed down on page 25, the bottom bullet point on the right-hand side, that paragraph is repeated word for word on the next page, on the second paragraph on the next page, and it's just a little bit repetitive.
Perhaps I just couldn't stress it enough.
Well, it may well be.
Every
Was that for was that for the councillors' benefit or for the general public?
Probably for everyone's, but no, I can check that it. I think I know what's happened. I think that the bullet points have been pulled together to be a bit punchier, and the original paragraph may well have existed before. And so, if I have a look at it to see whether A, it's either redundant, or two, just needs to be worded so it doesn't look like it's repeating.
Yeah, because it was a sense of...
But I still get an opportunity to have...
I have a sense of deja vu, and I can assure you that I now have that indelibly imprinted.
I think Mr. Gibbs wrote it because some of us councillors in here are a bit slow on the uptake. Is that why you did it?
No,
you don't have to answer.
Not at all, sir.
Councillor McKell.
Yeah, page 26, is that okay? Are we...
Yes, please.
Mr. Gibbs, I'm sure that some of this has been done very late hours, but I wonder whether at the end of the first paragraph there's a difference in the meaning between vitality and viability. You've used vitality in other places in the town centre, which is absolutely appropriate. Do you not mean viability?
Yes,
And the first sentence going on from that, Mr. Chairman, is a bit woolly. I would suggest something like this, but leave it to the staff to finalise. The town centre is an efficient place for business and commerce to operate. And then my favourite one, that's come up on many occasions over the last 10 years or so, this problem we have with the Holy Ghost and visitation. I know it's a planning jargon, meaning travel, but I don't think we want this document to be spiritual, do we? Can visitation please be changed to travel?
We found it quite spiritual.
Quite amusing.
As your mayor, I'm finding it quite moving, to be honest, with the whole experience here today.
No, that's
Are you
fine.
meaning that you got on your knees, Richard?
It's brought me to my knees a few times.
I'm sure it does.
See, the people who interpreted the Bible didn't have this problem, did they? Next page.
never know.
please.
We won't answer.
Divine intervention is welcome, Mr. Chairman, but
Councillor Bernard, please.
Under land interface issues, the second paragraph, where we say the land at State Highway 5 along Crown Road is close to residential activity and the district plan change will consider the need. Now, according to my resolution on this pink thing, we had already determined and made a resolution that it will happen, not that we will consider.
correct.
Sounds pretty
Will provide.
Will provide for then is, I guess, no, that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. I mean, we all know that just like the reserve management plan, the district plan has to go through a process and it'll get fine-tuned, but I'm happy for as much clear direction as you give it.
The reason why I say that, Richard, is another one coming up later on, but in order to be consistent,
Yes.
because you have in previous parts, like on page 16, under the box where you say under note, this list of projects will need to be amended. So on one hand, you're being quite definitive, and on the other hand, you're being quite loose.
Definitive on they'll need to be amended. Point over here, not definitive on exactly what it'll get amended to. But there are some areas of this where you want to send as clear direction as possible.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Right, anything else on page 27?
Page 27, yes.
Councillor Fagan?
Top right-hand side, ETA will be a national highway designed for transporting people regionally, and it is not appropriate to distract motorists or attempt to pull them off the highway. Well, on the contrary, I think it's vital that we do. We want to bring them into the town centre. I know what you're saying because you're referring to the signs, but perhaps you can word that a little differently, please.
Yes.
We do want to distract them and pull them into town.
Yes.
So full stop after regionally, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Will be a national highway designed for transporting people.
Regionally.
Regionally, full stop.
Yep. And forget all about
And it is appropriate to hog tie them and drag them into Taupo.
Yes,
Is that what you want?
that's exactly correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. My sentiments exactly.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're very conscious in drafting this section in particular that NZTA now has rules around the amount of signage and where it can be placed and
That's
how
fine.
it can be designed to prevent those distractions taking place.
Never
So
mind, that's their problem. We want them here.
Yeah, but having said that, at the end of the day, we can't put something in the structure plan that might want to rope them and bring them into town if it's against the national policy, because they'll just come down and either tell you to take them down or prosecute you.
this was just about making sure.
So I
of that
think there's some way that you
consistency.
can possibly
I'll have a look at it.
throw a lasso out there to
It's
accommodate Councillor Fagan.
It's about reflecting the difference between an entry sign to Taupo and Taupo Town Centre and a Best Buys along the highway.
I do
And I can
understand that,
and
Mr.
I'm
Gibbs.
quite happy to work on that and make it very clear that there's a big difference.
Thank you.
Anything else on that page? Next one. You could always put a picture of a cowboy with a lasso and lassoing a motor car, guys. You know, sort of soften it up a bit.
Like the big text.
Put out Uberhagen's picture on a horse with a lasso or something.
I've got pictures like that at home.
That's okay. Page 20.